I'm a fan of Dr. Eric Thomas, and many of you know him or you are familiar with Dr. Eric Thomas's work. And if you don't know, just look him up. He's the number one motivational speaker in the world. Number one. Very, very powerful, y'all. I recently found out that Eric Thomas was included in the credits of Creed 3. Michael B. Jordan put him in the credits of Creed 3 as a consultant. Now, how does a man who's a high school dropout, didn't finish high school, used to be homeless, do y'all know that his wife made sure he was fed while they were dating? While he was homeless, she would sneak him into her house when they were young, just to make sure he was fed. That's crazy to me. But how does a man that used to be homeless, slept in abandoned buildings, as he would say, high school dropout, goes on to get his GED. Now he has an earned doctorate degree. The reason I say earned doctorate degree, because a lot of times when you're a celebrity, people give you degrees. They call them honorary doctorate degrees. He has an earned doctorate degree. And he's the number one motivational speaker in the world. How do you go from that homelessness to being included in one of the top movies in the country right now? How, man? Well, I think I know the answer. I think everyone is worried about this whole success thing. I think everybody's worried about money and keeping up with people. Where I'm from, they say keeping up with the Joneses. I think everybody is miserable. Not everybody. I'm just generally speaking. Everybody's miserable or afraid to just be average and afraid to not have and afraid to all of these things. And I understand that society pushes or perpetuates an agenda to keep us climbing for something that's just a picture. It's just an image, reaching for a level of success that may or may not be our plot. And what it does is it steals time. It steals time from us. If I can just keep pursuing something that's not real, it steals time. Time for what? Time for you to pursue one thing. It's a C word. Your calling. That's the only way a man could go from homelessness to Creed. Calling. Homelessness to Creed. Do you know what Creed is, y'all? Creed is Rocky. I think the first Rocky show was in the 70s. Yeah, the 70s. I think the first one aired in 76. The first Rocky show with Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, understand this. Creed is not Michael B. Jordan. Well, Creed is Michael B. Jordan, but it comes out of Rocky, Sylvester Stallone, a movie that has evolved through history. What I'm highlighting evolution. I'm highlighting legacy. That a man that goes from homelessness to being included in the credits as a consultant. What Michael B. Jordan was saying is, this guy is my motivation. That while I was training, hear me, because everybody's looking at Michael's body and everybody's looking at his success. But when you listen to his interviews, he's a very focused guy. And I knew immediately why Eric Thomas was included in the Creeds. And he did not have any part in the movie. He's not in the movie. But he's responsible for the motivation to get the movie complete. Completed. Michael B. Jordan listed Dr. Eric Thomas as a consultant, meaning that when it got very difficult to shoot those scenes, boxing is very difficult. When it got difficult, when he was hungry, when his body was fatigued, when he wanted to quit, when he was training, at some point he had to put on a consultant to get him through the day. And the consultant happened to be Dr. Eric Thomas. How do you go from homelessness to Creed? And you didn't play in the movie. One word, calling. See, I don't have to worry about being great. I don't have to worry about impact. I don't have to worry about money. I don't have to worry about whether people will know me if I master finding my calling. You know what the problem is, ladies and gentlemen? I love you. I appreciate you. You're talented. But the problem is you won't stay in your lane. You won't find it. And we are so insecure. We're so dysfunctional that we think that someone else's lane is greater. Do you think the man's a fool? What man? God. You think our creator's a fool? You think he created you in his image only for you to desire to be like someone else? You think he messed up when he made you? You think he just had a bad day? You think he had an off day when he made you? Now, in his entire creation, you think when he got to you, he missed it? No. Think about that. That we think that God in his infinite wisdom messed up, made a mistake, had a bad day, had an off season while he was making us. That God jacked up so much that we have the audacity to want to be like something else he created. And you do know that human beings are the only ones that struggle with our own self-identity. Every other creation that God made knows how to stay in its own lane. Interesting. I think if in fact you want to solve the problem of what you solve the question, answer the question of am I significant? If you want to stop this, here's another one. If you want to stop being miserable, discontented with your life, I think it may be in the answer of the question of what's my calling? See, no person can go from homelessness to Creed copying someone else. Impossible. There's no way you can get from that place, become the number one motivational speaker in the world, trying to be like someone else. There's no way that you can go from homelessness, sleeping in abandoned buildings and eating out of trash cans, as he states over and over again. There's no way you can go from eating out of a trash can to being the number one motivational speaker in the world, trying to be like someone else. Impossible. What can get you from the trash can, eating out of a trash can, to number one speaker in the world, motivational speaker in the world? Has to be calling. It has to be someone that has finally agreed to agree with God concerning them. Yeah, put that in the comments. Put it in the comments. Don't lie. Say, I agree with God. I am so desperate for becoming something. So if you want to be something, if you want to be greater than what you are, then the only solution is you got to finally get to the place where you will agree with God. The man created you. That's where your impact is. That's where your destiny is. That's where your money is when you finally agree with God concerning you. And I'm not talking about just where you're supposed to work. I'm talking about your entire life needs to be consumed with, I agree with God. I don't care how difficult it is, how uncomfortable it is. I don't care if it goes against what I originally planned. I don't care if it's not what my parents told me I was supposed to be. I don't care if it's not what my husband or my wife told me I should be. I don't care if it was, I don't care about any of that. I doggone sure don't care about social media and my friends and who has bags and who's doing this and who's traveling and I don't care about any of that. I finally agree with God concerning every area of my life. I would imagine that Dr. Eric Thomas probably did some things because he agreed with God. I'm pretty sure that him agreeing with God disagreed with other people. No, and that's the problem. That's why many of you won't ever be great, because agreeing with God, it disagrees with people that's in your affections. No. That's it. That's just the bottom line. The bottom line is that the reason many of us will never be successful and we will never reach our maximum potential is because agreeing with God disagrees with people that are in our affections, and we would rather have relationships than to have a calling that changes the world. Oh yeah, that's the problem. You just so in love. You just gotta have so many people in your corner. You gotta have so many people. You gotta go to sleep knowing that someone likes you so much that you will refuse to agree with God concerning you. I think Kobe Bryant is the one that said, "Yeah, I don't come to family celebrations, holidays." He said, "I'm okay with missing holidays." He says, because when I finally show up, they're going to say, "Man, I saw you." He said, "Yeah." He said, I don't. He said, "I don't travel with my teammates. I don't go on vacation with my teammates. I miss family vacations and holidays, going home on the off season to see cousins." He says, I'm okay with doing that. I do that. I'm okay with them not seeing me for months and months and years at a time to be great. And that resonated with me. I'm just so sold out to it that I don't care who I disappoint, that I'm not always present. That's how much I want to change the world. How do you find your calling? What is your calling? Number one, spit this game to you, then I'll let you go. Your calling is directly connected to your conviction. Dr. Gabe, what's a conviction? A conviction is a deep value system for something. What do you have a deep value concerning? What's your strong beliefs? What makes you grieve? What makes you cry? What makes you okay with leaving people behind? It's a deep conviction. It's a deep value. It drives you. It causes a moral compass. See, one of the things I'm finding out is that people who get in trouble don't have convictions. And if you don't have convictions, you probably don't have a calling, or you've not discovered the calling. Because what keeps you out of trouble, what keeps you doing certain things, what keeps you not doing certain things is a conviction. And the conviction causes a deep moral compass. I can't do certain things because of my conviction, my beliefs. This is what I live for, so I don't do certain things. I cannot disqualify myself from obtaining this particular calling by doing a certain behavior. So I stay on the straight and narrow because I have a deep conviction concerning something. What drives you? Hear me. Number two, there's going to always be a temptation to be something else. Always know that. This is what my dad told me some years ago. I was in my kitchen He called me on the phone just to check on me. He said, son, there'll always be a temptation. There'll always be a temptation to be someone else. And that's absolutely right. You're going to always see something else that looks greater and better. But the power of calling is, I understand that that looks good and that seems better, but this is something that I cry over. This is something that's in my heart, that nothing can cause me to walk away from this. Nothing, even when it's discomfort, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's something that today I don't feel inspired to do, but I just find myself right back at it because it's my calling. Calling is not always something that you enjoy doing. It's sometimes it brings about certain emotions. And today I like it, and tomorrow I love it, and I don't like it today, but I keep finding myself because it drives me. I have a deep passion and conviction, and I have deep values concerning this particular thing. And that's how you can start tracing whether or not you're in your calling. There's always, listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to always be a temptation to be something or someone else. Hear me. This is how 7-8 ways you can discover your calling. Number one, what problem do you want to solve? Ask yourself that. Your calling is connected to a problem. There's something that's out there that's in you that you believe you have the answer for. You believe you have the answer to this. There's a problem. If you're called to it, then there is a problem that you want to solve. Have you ever asked yourself or said to yourself, I can solve this problem, or this needs to be fixed, or I hate when things are like this, or I believe that it can improve? That's an indication that you may be called to it. Number two, hear me. Rule number one concerning calling: do not follow someone else's dream. Do not believe what someone else says to you about you. You have to investigate it for yourself. You may not be what you heard all of your life. You may not be the thing. And sometimes you can start desiring something that's called hypnosis. That's called manipulation, that you can hear something over and over and over and over and over again, that you think that you're supposed to just do this, or you think you're supposed to just do that. Hear me very carefully. If it's someone else's dream for you and you have not come to the realization, you've not come to the conviction, you don't have a conviction for it. You do it and you may do it well, but you have no conviction. You have no sense of value concerning it. You have no love towards it. You don't grieve over it. You don't want to see this thing change. You don't want to see it better. You don't want to you may be skilled at it, but you don't care whether or not it's improved. I'll give you a perfect example. Y'all, listen, there are a lot of industries. There are a lot of industries that are necessary, but I don't think about them on a regular basis. I could care less about the condition of that industry. I'm not called to it. I don't have a conviction over it. There's corruption in every industry, but I only think about how one or two industries can be improved by way of me. That's what I'm called to. So if in fact you have no passion, you have no conviction, you have no grievance over a particular thing, I may be able to go to an industry and operate, but it does not mean I'm called to it. So if in fact, hear me, don't miss this, if in fact you don't have those characteristics, it may be someone else's dream for your particular life. Number three, don't miss this. Ask a trusted person what they think. Ask someone who's seasoned. Ask someone who has wisdom. Ask someone who's been around. Ask someone who's navigated through the temptation of wanting to be like someone else. Ask them, how should I navigate through finding my conviction? What do you think? What do you, based upon your observation of me, based upon what you've investigated, based upon what you've seen me do, based upon what you've seen me display, the skill sets I have, the talents, etc. What do you think I may be called to? Can't hear me. Ask trusted people. Number four, get rid of original plans. That is the thing that will always hinder you. I appreciate your vision board, and I appreciate all your goals, and I appreciate all the things that you've ever said that you were going to do. But if you want to find out your calling, you have to clear the table. You have to clear your plans. You cannot look at your calling out of the filter of your previous plans. Here's why: because your previous plans could be contaminated with someone else's opinion about you. And when I say someone else's, I'm not talking about a friend, family member. It could be media. It could be social media. It could be just environment. It could be the people that you hang out around. You hear me? You could have low friends and not know that they think low. You could listen, if you've been around a group of people for a number of time, or a specific amount of time, you can become immune to their dysfunction, their lack of passion, their lack of grit, their lack of desire, etc. So what you have to do is you have to get rid of all original plans and start asking yourself these questions. What am I called to? What's my conviction? What do I hear? Am I making sense? So get this. Here's my number 5. Get serious. You cannot play around in life and think that you're about to find something, discover something as serious as a conviction. If you don't know, or a calling, if you don't know what your calling is, at some point you have to take 12 months to just get serious. You have to take 12 months to start being serious about your life, about your money, about who you are, about your future, about where you want to go, about what you want to accomplish. No one is discovering the calling question if they're always playing around. So hear me. Many people won't be successful because every weekend you got to go out and celebrate. Celebrate what? You're lost. What are you celebrating if you're clueless? Why are you hanging out? Why are you popping bottles just because it's Friday? Why are you relaxing? Friday, for people who don't have a calling, for people who don't know what they're supposed to do, then Friday does not mean the end of the week. Friday is another day that you can figure out what you're supposed to be doing. For some, hear me, that's something that's ingrained in society. It says it's Friday, so I no longer work. But people who want to change the world, Friday is not a relaxed day. It's another day to be aggressive concerning what it is you're supposed to be doing. So what we do is, oh, I thank God it's Friday. No. Thank God it's Friday because it's another day where I can spend time looking at my life and looking at what I want to do and looking at how building the strategies and building the plan and building the organizational skills to figure out how I'm going to go from this level to the next level. Friday is not a rest day for people who want to do something great. Friday is a rest day for people who are average. So I got to get serious. And a lot of people are celebrating. They hang out, and you can hang out and do your, but I'm only talking to a few people that's like, you know what? I don't want to hang out. I'll hang out later. I'll hang out after I have been totally convinced about what I'm called to do. Average people, oh, enjoy your life. You got time. But hear me. But great people realize that time waits on no person, that I don't have time. I don't have a lot of time. I don't know when my time will cut short. And I don't want to leave life. I don't want to leave earth knowing that I had a lot of fun. I had zero calling. See? Problem. And we've been taught to have fun, pop the bottles, enjoy, go to restaurants, eat, do what you have to do. But for some of us, it's like, I don't have time to hang out because I don't know what my calling is. I spend too many times with my friends that's just enjoying life, but I'm empty. It's very important. Here's another one. Number 8, after I get serious, your calling does not mean go and try to be the best at it. I don't know why. Y'all hear me. Many people won't agree with this. But the best doesn't guarantee you that people will notice you. I'm the best at it. You're never the best. You're never the best. And how do you know that? 8 billion people in the world. You're not the best of 8 billion people. Well, what's the purpose of best then? The purpose of best is doing your best. Not the best. That my competition is me. that I'm always trying to be better than what I did last year. Now, I don't care what people, I don't care what titles people get. Man, you're the best at it. Well, the problem with believing that is when someone else comes, y'all, they'll be the best. The objective is to always compete with yourself. It's this. If you don't believe me, it's this. If you're a track runner, you know that the thing that slows you down is looking. The thing that slows you down is looking. Looking to see how far behind people are, looking to your left and looking to your right. The thing that causes you to win, to keep your speed, is looking straight ahead. And that's the problem with trying to be the best. There's always someone else to consider. But when you're trying to be your best, you're only focused on yourself, your self-improvement. Anytime I say I want to be the best, there's an indication that there's someone else included. I'm including someone else. When I'm trying to be my best, the only person I'm competing against is myself. I don't care what it is you do. I don't care what kind of accolades other people get. Let other people get caught up into accolades. You walk on the field every day, the field of your life, and you say, I want to be better than I was last night. We won the game last night, but that's not good enough. What can I do better? Man, you're the best at it. Thank you. But in your mind, I want to be better than the last performance. And that keeps you completely focused, because as soon as you start competing with everyone else, now the why starts to get contaminated. The why is the reason why you are convicted about it. You practice and you plan and you study and you read because there's something in you called a conviction. But as soon as I start to think about everyone else and I start obtaining and trying to believe, and I start going for the titles, now my why is contaminated and it causes me to lose focus. It causes me to lose purity of what I'm doing. Wake up every morning with the same conviction that it's about whatever it is, it's about in your heart, that you have to maintain and fight to hold on to that particular conviction. So I don't try to be the best. I'm trying to be my best. Number 8. Here's my favorite one, y'all. Your job may not be your calling. Your job may simply be provision. It's money. Now, for some of us, it may be connected to our calling, but for others, it's just provision. Don't look for job to be the calling. Calling is provision. I mean, your job is provision. Your calling could be something completely different. Do not dilute. I'm almost done. Do not dilute or be disappointed because your job is not giving you the same or giving you the results of the calling. It's just for money. You determine your happiness at your job. Do not connect the two. Sometimes you can. For me, my job, I believe I'm called to it. But for others, it's just provision, and that's fine. Money is money. I do that to take care of myself. That's it. I do that to take care of my family. I do that to take care of my needs. But my calling could be something completely different. And I don't leave my job just to pursue the calling unless that's a conviction of yours and you know that our Creator has given you permission to do that. Other than that, I stay on my job and I, at the same time, multitask. I figure out my calling. And your calling could lead to provision. For some people, it does not. And it's okay to have a job and a calling. And it's okay for them to be separate. It's okay to go to work every morning and take care of your family and then leave work and go and pursue the calling. Don't always think that they're supposed to be one and the same. For some people, they are, and for others, they are not. And that's the problem. Once you figure it out, you will be able to embrace the lane. Some people have the lane that their calling is their job, their calling is the way of their means to provision, and some people have to do both. And some people have to do both until the calling becomes a means of provision. But that's where I start to say, this is my own lane. I'm not trying to do it like everybody else. I'm doing it the way that God has ordained it to be done in my life in this particular season. Calling. Number last, I'll leave you here. Calling is not always synonymous to your talent, but it could be connected. What you're good at. What do people call you to do? What will people, hear me, y'all. I heard this. Eric Thomas said this. He had an invitation to go a particular place. His accountant said, hey, I think he was saying his church was kind of suffering financially, et cetera, blah, 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 blah. And so what happened was he said he made a decision. I'm not going to take any type of engagement. Hear this last story, y'all. I'm not going to take any type of engagement and be out of the pulpit on a Sunday. And I think he has an assistant or maybe a partner called CJ, named CJ. And so I'm assuming that CJ goes to the church, and of course Eric Thomas is a pastor of his own church. And so they were suffering because they were always traveling. And so the way to save money, or if they were out of the pulpit, y'all know how it is. When you're out of the pulpit, you bring a guest pastor in, A, B, C, and D. Well, the church was suffering. And so Dr. Thomas says, well, this is how we're going to save money. We're not going to be out of the pulpit at the same time again. So we're going to stop bringing guest pastors. I've done it before. That's the quickest way to save money. Stop bringing, I don't care. Stop bringing guest pastors. Do that for a whole year. You will save a lot of money. So Dr. Thomas got a phone call from his assistant and said, hey, there's someone that wants you to come in and speak. I think it was September 7th. And so Dr. Thomas was like, nah, I can't do that because I just said I would not miss my pulpit. So just tell them I can't do it. I'll do it. I can do an evening, but I can't do a morning. Well, the venue says, well, we can't do it. We can't adjust it. We'll just have you February for Black History Month. And here's the lesson, and this is what I'm ending with. The lesson from that was this. He says, when you found your calling, people will adjust their schedule for you. See, he stayed true to his conviction to not be out of the pulpit. He gave us two lessons there. He said, number one, this is what he said. Number one, people will adjust for you when you found your calling. Number two, when you have a calling, you won't adjust to other people. You will stay true to your conviction. He says, some of y'all would have missed the pulpit. You would have compromised it. And I really wish I could just sit here and talk. But do you know how many people are so needy? They're willing to miss. Listen, I'm a pastor, so I deal with people on that level. Oh, I got an engagement. Somebody want to hear me speak, so I'm not going to make church. Somebody wants to hear me speak, so I'm not going to make church. Oh, I have a client, so I'm not going to make church. You have no convictions. That's what you have. Or your conviction is not to sit and be fed. Your conviction is to do your thing. And that's fine. But what he taught was, so people are so desperate that you will abandon your conviction for opportunity. And he said, no, I can't do it. This is the number one motivational speaker in the world. He said, I ain't gonna be able to do it because I told my church I'm gonna be in the pulpit. So anything at the church I can do. And they said, well, that won't work for us. But because you're called and nobody does it like you, we're going to have you in February. So he didn't miss the opportunity and he did not abandon his conviction. But the test of it, can you stay true to your conviction? Man, I'm about to. And y'all know me. That listen, Brandon, that resonated with me because that's me. That's me. I just I gotta stay. I don't care about the opportunity. I care about what I'm called to. And the opportunities will come if you stay true to what you're called to. It's conviction. It's being loyal to the conviction and not being so impressed and hungry for attention and platform that you will abandon all your convictions just to be seen. Preachers do it all the time in churches. Can't serve. Now I'm sitting back and relaxing. Now I'm about to go talk to you preachers. You preachers. You think makes me it blows my mind. Now I get it. You think God gives the opportunity because you have more to say than the person that you're supposed to be assigned to? No, God will present that opportunity to see if you'll stay true to a conviction. That just hit me. You think you have more to say to a group of people than God wants to say to you. No, God will present the opportunity to see if you will stay true to the conviction. September. So you have September, so September 7th. So that's September, October, November, December, January, February. He sacrificed his conviction. He's only in the pulpit 45 minutes to an hour. But because of the conviction, I'll wait 6 months. But because he's so convicted about what he's supposed to do, the opportunity is still there.